Petals melting like candle wax. Statues whisper secrets behind my back. I saw Lincoln blink. He gave me a wink. Is this a trip or some political sync? Mushroom
30 seconds,
the colors don't lie. Elephants dancing in a tie-dye sky. Mushroom MAGA, I'm losing my ground. The eagle's laughing, it's spinning around.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? To stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the HAL Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
HAL Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
HAL Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. I I was chasing Bucky out of the
I
studio.
just met Bucky.
You did for the first time, I think. Yeah, Bucky is our
Yeah.
black cat. He's brand new. He was a foster fail. I insisted on keeping him. I fell in love with that cat, and he is lovely. He's very cuddly. He's very like he rubs up against your leg. He does all the cat stuff that you like,
Yeah.
and none of the problematic cat stuff. I mean, he does play with Christmas ornaments. He has unraveled.
He has time.
Yes.
He has time. He can
So-
develop like pretty much through 18 months. It's a wild card. You never know.
That's the spirit. Thanks, John. That really helps. I feel much better about the whole thing. Okay, first of all, I mean, I guess it's a day ending in Y. So Trump and his cronies broke the law yesterday, violated federal statute in that they didn't release the full Epstein files like they were ordered to do by the Congress and the courts, and that is illegal. Now,
It just looks, what they release looks like what happens when my printer is on the fritz.
yeah, well, they blacked out a ton of stuff, and they were supposed to, according to the law, the letter of the law, explain their redactions. That did not happen. They also released a lot of stuff sort of out of order and in an uncontextual form, so that people, they knew specifically they would that people would go, like, if they opened with, here's pictures of the inside of Epstein's house, here's 500 photos that we took when we raided the property, and so they just, here's a picture of a hallway and a stairwell and a bedroom and whatever. Like, they knew people would just leaf through that and go, there's nothing here, this is the same stuff, or there was never anything here. When in reality, they're still hiding / redacting a bunch of stuff, and that's in violation of the law currently. But, you know, at this point, the Supreme Court's given Donald Trump the right to violate the law if he sees fit. If he thinks, you know, that when world leaders find out he was, you know, trafficking with a pedophile for 25 years, and there's evidence coming out that will make him, you know, the lamest of ducks, that he could say, well, then I can't make deals on behalf of America or rule with peace through strength, because they'll all know that I'm a paper tiger and that the American people aren't behind me. So I have I'm telling you, this is the justification they're using inside the White House. I guarantee it. This is what they're saying to each other. Like, if the world found out what's in the files, it would hurt America. That's what they're saying. Instead of, it actually empowers America, because America goes, you know what? We can find this out about our leaders and tell them to go pound sand and get a new one.
Yep.
That would be the point
like
of power.
what they're doing now doesn't hurt America.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just the election of the man. But, so anyways, myriad of things that will happen with that. I went through some of them yesterday, and then some of them last night. A good portion of them are not only redacted, like blacked out entirely photos with no explanation of who's in them, you know, no description, which is legally what they're supposed to do. but there are a bunch that are in these like slide folders and photo folders that Epstein had, and they just have Post-it notes over them. Just so they can't even be scanned, much less like blacked out. So if you sent them the original of that photo, of that, that scan, they still wouldn't be able to see the photo because it was physically blacked out. It was physically covered with a Post-it note. So here's the assumption. This is what we're operating on, kids. That every blacked out picture in the releases now and forever contain Trump in a compromising position with an underage girl. Period. That's the assumption.
Period.
There is no other reason to assume otherwise. And the only person besides
they're
Trump
not
that
blacking
could be
stuff out to hide like Bill Gates or Bill Clinton in there.
Nope. Yep. And they're certainly not, hiding images of, girls, everything but the actual entry point parts, because they've got pictures of women, nude or semi-nude, barely covering, their faces and their genitalia. So you can see where they are, who else is in the photo with them, all that kind of stuff. So, this is why they're rushing Trump out and making him do all these rallies, and it's why he's reclassifying pot. That's why he's which by the way he isn't doing. Can I just say for the record, like the idea that he's decriminalizing, which is where I think a lot of people go with this, is that's not happening. The right will not let him decriminalize pot on a federal level or any of that stuff. He just reclassified it to mildly addictive or with a high potentiality for addiction, and some possible medical use, so that they can study CBD. Because
So who told him to do that? Because he didn't come up with that. Who told him to do that?
Oh, Mitch McConnell. It was in the original draft of the big BS bill because of hemp and CBD. That's all it's about. It's about hemp states, namely these big like agribusiness states. Certainly isn't out there to help.
That Mitch McConnell thing.
Yeah, it's all about hemp, and this is the cover he needs to do it. If you reclassify pot, it automatically covers hemp. If you try to do this stuff with hemp, the states will push back against it because it's hard to police the pot. So that's it. That's all. I mean, that's the only reason to do it. Like, yeah. So it's not going to decriminalize or legalize pot nationwide or anything even close to that. The point is to help hemp. And by the way, this is something that Democrats have been after for a long time. So you know what? Donald Trump is acquiescing to Democratic ideals and talking points. That's what's genuinely happening, kids. That's what's actually happening here. Because
weird.
There's so many things that like he's going, we're doing this now and it took so long to do it. Well, why did it take so long to do it? Because it was the only solution in a lot of cases, like letting Medicare and Medicaid negotiate prices, the kind of those kind of things. Why is he patting himself on the back for that? For doing what is effectively a Democratic goal. These are so many of the things he's doing to be populist, in terms of real legislation or in terms of, executive orders that don't have to do with, his fake deportation scheme and all that kind of stuff, which we will get to, because if you think the only thing tearing the right apart right now is Candace Owens, boy, have I got a lovely Christmas tale for you, just leading us into the Christmas week. Joyeux Noël of just absolute crappery. It's kids, let me tell you, the magic that all the maggots felt last year when they were like, finally he's back in and he's unrestrained and we're going to get everything we want. And boy, has that just egged out entirely. And it's lovely to watch. And what is he doing to try and pick up the slack, to try and solve these issues? Or what are other Republicans doing to try and cover their butts politically? They're forcing a discharge petition for a 3-year extension of ACA subsidies in January. That just passed. That discharge petition just got enough signatures. Republicans crossed over to get that discharge petition done. That's what they're doing. It is amazing to me how that once they have to govern, how much Republicans start to sound like Democrats. Because gravity is real. Reality is the circumstance we all live in. Vaccines work. Traffic lights are important. Infrastructure should be consistent from sea to shining sea if you want a functioning society. So of course all this stuff needs to work. And
you
so
got very John Malkovich in there. It started happening. Did you hear it?
No. Yeah. You idiot.
Of course it has to work.
Of course it has to work, you moron. You idiot.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Get out of the car. It's articulation as acting. But great it is. I enjoy it. It's entertaining and it's still in character. That's impressive. So the Republicans right now, their biggest problem, and you hear this in all the talk about the uniparty on the right. Oh, it's the uniparty, the deep state. Why do people say that? I'll tell you why. Because in the fantasy solutions that the extremists in our society come up with, none of them work. None of them will either get passed or function or will get enough of the public behind them to actually get started. You have to pilot them and work them out and try to work them again. Otherwise, you will never convince anybody that this whole new way of revolutionizing everything will work. And if you don't believe me, how long did cell phones take to get to smartphone? And now where are they? Kids are buying flip phones again. Dumb phones are back in fashion.
That's so weird.
It is, but it makes total sense. Like the cost benefit analysis has worked itself out. But look at the arc of how long that took, because they had to because rich people wanted those phones for a little while, and then they're like, I got nobody to call except the 6 other rich people that I know, and they're boring. So I need one I can give to my secretary or my assistant or my accountant or those kind of things. So they wanted a bigger network because they had to reach these other things. And then it became available to everybody. And then it took forever to spread. And then they got cheap and crappy. And then they became little computers. And then they took over our lives and made us walk around like a toddler playing with his, discovering his penis for the first time, just like this, kind of staring down at this piece of flat glass, flicking at it, going, what does this do? Like, it's just ridiculous, right? But look how long it took. And cell phones are integral to our society now. They are necessary. They are absolutely a plus. However, it took a long time to get everybody on board. That's how stuff works. Sorry. You're not going to beat everybody into your brand new system that you think magically will work and convince them right away. And that's what the Republicans are up against. And we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. But, man, I got to tell you, Trump's rallies are not only boring, repetitive, silly, slurry, garbage, but they've got low attendance. Sad! Exclamation point. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. All right. All right. And then up here we've got, let's see. Oh my gosh, Hal Vickery. Happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Sansa,
He's ridiculous.
Oh, bless you. And Tamal, thank you so much. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, too. That's so sweet of you guys. Thank you so much. The show only exists because of you folks, so I appreciate it. It's, one of these days I'll run ads on CBT. I think I have like 2 slots or something. Hi, okay, 30 seconds. Here we go. A group of Jan Sixers are planning to break Tina Peters out of prison. Oh, God, I'd love to watch that. That'd be hilarious. Yep. Project 2025 is the dumbing down of America, according to the prof. Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So, one of the problems that the right has right now, obviously, is paranoia. That if there's anything that really sums up what's happening on the right now, and let me tell you, I've said before, but I'll say it again: there will never be enough popcorn for this era that we are in. Just never. And the right
It's exhausting, though.
Oh my God, the right last year. Like, think back to what the right sounded like when Trump was triumphant this time last year. Just
They
think
were
about
angry.
it. Like, oh, they were righteously angry. He was going to be their reckoning, right? He was going to, he was going to, like, finally drain the swamp for real this time. He was finally going to, I don't know, root out the deep state. Kash Patel was literally hired to destroy the FBI. Now, he's doing it by being lame, but not because he's actively trying to do it. As a matter of fact, this dude has turned into the biggest FBI fanboy ever. Like, he's flying in the jet, he's wearing the jacket, he loves the title. Like, this reminds me of, remember in the first term, there was like his ag secretary or whoever insisted that since there is a flag for the ag secretary, like each department has a flag, that flag be flown when he arrives at offices. Remember that? Like, that's who these folks are. Yeah, that's who these folks are. So, beyond all that, once you decide that it's the right against the world, or it's us against them, or there's a purity test going on, and this is one of the things we deal with on our own side, that everybody involved in a purity test, let me tell you something, it will never be pure enough. That's the problem with a purity test. Even your own purity will be suspect by someone in your group organization. Your adherence to proper, woke scold languaging, whatever it is, will eventually get you purged, because nobody's perfect, and there's a violent insistence you have to be in any kind of purity movement. And the right is going through this in a way that I don't even think we recognize as that we like anywhere close to the problem that we would have, in that they have a bunch of guns and they're braggadocious about their guns, and their idea of being macho involves the waving about of their physical ability and their guns. That's a scary spot to be in when people start talking crap. And one of the things that was allegedly tied to that is Bucky. He's walking around. He's gonna chew a wire. I know it. What recently
He doesn't
happened?
do any of the annoying things that cats do, though.
No. He isn't. He's actually just kind of wandering around. He's literally just like, what's this? What's this? What's this?
He's gonna turn the corner just out of karma.
And then he just left. He was just being polite. He just left. He's fine. See, you doubt him. You doubt the power and the wonder of Bucky. That's your problem, Johnny Million.
I doubt Bucky.
You never doubt Bucky. That's the one purity test I have. So a little bit ago, if you'll recall, Tim Pool went after Candace Owens. This is on the right. This is all the right. The what they used to call the intellectual derp web, I guess. And after he did, somebody allegedly took a shot at his house. 3 people fired shots at his building or something like that. Now, since that time, look, I understand. We've not seen a police report. There's not been a police report file that he's posted online. There's not been bullets pulled from the building. You know what I mean? Like a picture of the bullet hole itself. I don't recall anybody posting about that. But the idea is that someone shot at his house because he talked bad about Candace Owens. Not because Antifa decided that he had to be expunged from the earth, and not because the lefters have decided, that they are going to anarchy him out of existence, whatever that is. No, strictly because he spoke ill of Candace Owens, who spoke ill because she was speaking ill of Turning Points USA and Charlie Kirk's widow, because she says they and the Israelis and French intelligence and perhaps members of our own military were involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk, and Kash Patel and Dan Bongholio are covering it up. And so since Tim Pool mentioned that he wasn't all in on that, I guess, and called her names, which apparently is very, very triggering on the right. And they call you a name. You know what I mean? It's like being. I think they call it being trumped. Anyways, they all got.
He does love names.
He does love calling people names. You would think after a while that people would catch on to the idea that if you don't mind or you laugh it off, it completely dismisses it. But apparently on the right, it doesn't. I mean, you can argue that Gavin Newsom took the whole Newscomb thing and went, okay, you want to play? And went for it, right? And is just throwing it back and laughing off when Trump calls him names. But people on the right can't, because this is their dude, right? This is their buddy. This is Trump. This is and you can't speak ill of him yet, I guess. Right?
I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Well, yeah, I think everybody, that's the sort of issue that everybody on the right is going through right now, is like, how long is this going to last? And a lot of them are like, I'm of the opinion that half of them are like, uh-oh, it's coming. And the other ones are like, when's it going to get here? Of course, the last days of Trump is what I'm talking about, in case anybody's not caught on yet, that he's on a hard physical fade, and some of them are waiting in the wings, ready to pounce. I would argue that Marco Rubio's little gaggle with reporters about foreign policy and what would effectively be defined as the Rubio doctrine kind of being launched is him pointing at 2028 and going, oh, no, Vance can be my VP. But they think that's the ticket, by the way, just so you know. For 2028, the ticket amongst MAGA is Vance Rubio. Now, there are a myriad of reasons why the hardcore MAGAts, why the hardcore MAGAts will never join that.
Right. I can just hear orifices drying up all over the nation.
That's right. And Rubio himself is, I mean, he's got a myriad of problems, not the least of which is that he speaks Spanish fluently, which automatically disqualifies him for the vast majority of MAGAts. There is a marque numero dos joke that goes around, for Marco Rubio in right-wing circles, is that's the Latin American takeover of America the minute we have a Latino president or somebody, like Rubio. So that's not happening, right? That's again, not our problem. That's not a Democrat problem. That is 100% a Republican problem. 100%. And yet, apparently they think this is the only shot they've got. And Vance, of course, I think he's planning on just winning on charm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
which he has in spades.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's overwhelming for me. But anyways, last night Trump did another rally in North Carolina because they're trying to shore up some of these midterm seats. So basically, keep an eye out for everywhere he goes, because wherever he's going, it's not good.
Why did he bring up Melania's underwear?
Panties. He said panties.
I didn't want to say that just in case I wasn't allowed.
No, I think that's a word you can say. It's just weird. Yeah, he complained that that they made a mess of Melania's panties. You have drawers and then you have drawers. They looked at both. He continued miming the difference between like a drawer and underwear, drawers versus. And then he said about her, she's a meticulous person. Everything is perfect. Her undergarments, sometimes referred to as panties, are folded perfect, wrapped. They're like so perfect. I say, that's beautiful. That's the part of the world she came from. Everything was perfect. No problem. Fold, fold, fold. I think she steams them to make sure. Okay. So,
steams.
Yeah. So, this is, here, well, here's the audio of it. Let's see if I can,
I had these animals trying to attack me at Mar-a-Lago. They went into
by the way, the energy is overwhelming at these rallies.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't sound like
he was so geeked up on Tuesday night. They couldn't do
Yes.
that again. He'll
Right.
break.
Yeah, exactly. They've got and they may have run out. He may have done his final his final 2 snorts.
My wife's closet, and I'll say this, number one, it's very bad, but it sounds a little strange. They looked at her drawers. You have drawer,
Oh boy.
and then you have drawer. They looked at both.
Jeez, and so he's going to the drawer and then drawers. Like her underwear is this big, by the way, which would be his, I guess. Let's see, hold on. It's just so awful. So here it is. The rest of it. Whoop, I've got to put you in here. Sorry, Johnny Million.
It's okay.
I'll add you right there. I can do it.
I'll be back.
Oops. Yeah, you're there. I trust that you're there. Hold on one second. But he mimes this ridiculousness. There you go. Ta-da! Okay. We continue.
And she's a very meticulous person, you know, like these people. It's just like she'd fit into your group very well. She'd be very happy with her. But everything is perfect. Her undergarments, sometimes referred to as panties, are folded, perfect.
What is he doing?
Wrapped. They're like so perfect. I said, that's beautiful. You know, it's the part of the world she came from. Everything was perfect, no problem. Fold, fold, fold. I think that she steams them, make sure. Just that it.
Yeah.
We came
That
home.
voice. What is happening?
I wasn't there when the raid took place. A raid of a.
Read like he sounds ancient, right? In this,
Yeah.
like this is crazy, and again we notice, and before maggots wouldn't notice. They would kind of look past this, or they think it was cute or funny, or he's just interesting. No, they're starting to notice. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Sometimes referred to as panties.
Popular president, a former president. She opened the drawers and it was not that way. They were a mess. It was all over the place.
Yeah, it was all over the place. I think I'm gonna have to grab the
You
sometimes.
have drawer, and then you have drawer. They looked at both. And she's a very meticulous person, you know, like these people. It's just like she.
He means, by the way, when he says just like these people, when he's pointing across, that's the women that come without their
60
husbands. Thank you to the rallies.
These people?
That's who he's. Yeah, these people over here. That group of women that all wear like
cool.
Trump hats and stuff. That's what he's talking about.
These people.
These people. He also couldn't remember Doge. He couldn't remember what, like he couldn't remember the name of Doge, which would, you know, his little, like when he talked about Musk, this
Yeah,
thing.
come
he
on
did.
in. The water's fine.
Right.
Every time I hear about Doge, I'm like, oh yeah, that was bad. Hated that.
Right. Hi, Bucky. He's just laying right there on the floor like a good little kitty.
Tell Bucky I'm sorry that I doubted him.
Yeah. Pitiful.
10 seconds.
Okay.
10 seconds! Bucky, wake up! 10 seconds!
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program,
Battle stations, everybody. Let's go, 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 go.
Mega Worldwide.
So, do you own Bitcoin, Johnny Million? Are you a big?
So much Bitcoin.
So much Bitcoin. You were an early adopter, right? You bought it at
I was
5
like
cents.
401k, pish posh.
Bing bong, bing bong, bing bing bong.
Bing bong.
And you officially, like, you know, you were smart. You bought low, you sold high. You bought it at 8 cents, and you sold it at 12 cents. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Have you noticed the crash lately? Have you noticed that?
You know, I have so much I didn't even notice.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't. Yeah. It's interesting how that crash, curiously enough, seems directly tied to, oddly enough, the entry into the Bitcoin market of Don Jr., Eric, and Donald Trump in the crypto area, and Trump's weird penchant for pardoning crypto fraudsters. Okay, Bitcoin is down 34%.
Not to throw you too far off. What was that card that I saw him hawking the other day? Like some weird gold card.
That's the gold. Yeah, that's the gold Visa. That's the Trump gold card. $1 million Visa. He's basically going to charge admission to the United States. It's
so wrong on every level. Why aren't people screaming about this?
Yeah. It all ties together. Okay, so Bitcoin was at 125,000 right about the time Eric and Don Jr. with World Patriot Financial or whatever, their America First FinSec thing, money laundering scheme that they put together. Let's just call it what it is. Got into, we're Bitcoin solid because the future is digital and all this kind of stuff. And then as soon as they got in, it drops from its all-time high. Like as soon as they bought, it's almost like, how Bitcoin is based on the greater fool theory. The greater fool theory of like real estate or something like that. I know this thing isn't worth anything, and I was dumb for buying it. But there's got to be somebody out there dumber than me.
Someone's got to be dumber.
Yeah, right. So that the greater fool theory is this idea that you can, if you're a good enough salesperson, you can buy crap assets and sell them for a profit, even if they're not worth what you paid for them. Okay, so the Bitcoin in many ways is one of those things. It is, and especially all the other. Certainly all of Trump's meme coins. I mean, the Trump coin and the Melania coin, those are all based on the idea, of the greater fool theory or the FOMO effect, right? How the rug pull. Yeah, well, we'll get into the rug pull part of it. So, thanks, Nathan. So as soon as they get in, like, it seems like to me by looking at it, that everybody in the crypto sphere decided Don and Eric are the biggest fools ever. Like, there is no greater fool than these idiots. Time to get out. That, honestly, like, that's...
Yeah.
It's almost how everything works. Like, the minute these idiots show up,
with them.
It's over. That's how you know. If you want to invest in something and you're trying to, like bail out right before the crash, if Eric buys some, leave. I'm dead serious. Bitcoin has gone, has dropped 34%. And the other aspect is that quantum, one of the reasons is, I mean, there's a myriad of reasons, but one of them is that advances in quantum computing, which, the big three, Google's, even Amazon is working on their own quantum computer. But Intel has one, everybody working on these giant...
I think Michael Douglas has one. That's how he got Michelle Pfeiffer back.
That's true, yes. But theirs could fit in a van, which is, that's next level. Okay. With a horn that played La Cucaracha, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, but the all of these folks... all of these things, like I said, are based on the greater fool theory. And every time, there's these areas where the Trumps get involved, everybody seems to know it's time to bail out or whatever. So Bitcoin was at 127,000 just a couple of months ago, and it's lost 33%. Now, there's two reasons why it's going to go away or crash or never settle. And what you'll ultimately have, if you have any cryptos that will be worth anything, they will all be tethers. They will all be pegged to another currency. They will either be a Chinese, crypto that is based on the yuan, or a Russian crypto that's based on the ruble, or or an American one based, or by the way, or a bunch of foreign ones based on the U.S. dollar, which is the death of the BRICS idea. That's almost singularly what made it fall apart, was that nobody trusts any of their their money or their economies, but they do trust the U.S. dollar. So they'd rather all of those countries, Russia, China, all the rich people in those countries who are trying to shuffle their money around underneath the government's gaze, all of them would rather use a U.S. dollar tethered crypto to hide their money for money laundering. Because let's understand, kids, crypto only serves people who deal in guns, drugs, or human beings. That's all it's for. Even as a tax dodge, it doesn't work, because your money has to come to you first, and then you've got to put it in crypto. If it goes up in value, you still have to take it out in dollars, and that will show up. So it doesn't, you're going to pay capital gains on it no matter how it happens. That's how it works. And the idea that you're going to well, no, I'm going to put it in Iraqi dinars like the QAnons plan to do, it's not going to work. It's moronic. But that's Trump thinks he's going to leave office richer than, any president in history. He very well may. But everything it's built on.
Yeah, but not under his own power.
Right. Well, that's the other thing too. Everything it's built on is going to either crash before he leaves office, along with his health, or right after. The worldwide number of lawsuits for fraud, and both civil and criminal suits against Donald Trump after the fact, it's going to be absurd. He's going to be litigated into oblivion.
Yeah.
Because even if the Supreme Court is saying you can't, charge a president for what they do as president, as long as they think it was in the national interest, which is how they got around it.
Yeah.
And how do you know it was in the national interest? Well, you have to know his motives. Well, you're not allowed to know his motives. So game, set, match. That's what he's counting on.
Yeah.
What's the next step for that? Well, other countries. That's what it is. Other countries. There are a ton of other countries that are like, yeah, he's still violating our laws. We have crypto laws. We have privacy laws. We have, you can't murder our citizens. And by the way, he might not be able to be tried in a U.S. court for the people that are killed in, that are Venezuelan or Brazilian or Colombian or whoever are in these boats. But you damn straight can be sure that if his kids travel to those countries, they can be considered part of a criminal enterprise with their father, even if they were a part of it was part of a military strike. So that brings us to the crypto South American angle. Don Jr. and Eric, one of the reasons why they're pardoning this Honduran president who was a drug dealer who said famously, shove the drugs up the gringos' noses. That was his, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the quote. We have to shove the drugs up the gringos' noses. So not only a drug cartel leader and dealer, but also a racist as well. So that's adorable. Yeah. Meanwhile, also, by the way, that I'm translating from English except for the word gringo. Of course, the rest of the what he said was in Spanish, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the indigenous language of South America and not European at all. But anyways, yes. But yeah.
What's the name?
Yeah. I mean, six of one, cinco of another. So anyway, so Trump's kids, one of the reasons why they're pardoning these guys is because of all these crypto farms in South America, because that's the new legit / money laundering method of the cartels. So for all this talk about Trump bombing, to keep the drugs out of America, he is going into business with every single one of these cartels.
Yeah.
All the crypto endeavors that Don Jr. and his buddies are building, these crypto mining facilities in South America that they own a stake in, all the loan systems that they're setting up to loan Bitcoin and then, buy it back at a higher rate instead of charging interest and all that, or at a lower rate instead of charging interest, which is like how they do it. It's like a hold on the cost of it. It can never go down, but it always goes up. That's one of the World Liberty Financials. That's what it was. World Liberty Financial.
Oh, wow. Yeah, right.
Right. That's their mechanism, right, for making money. And at some point, that would probably entail them. I mean, maybe they could do it all by Zoom, but they can't go down there anymore if Dad starts bombing places. Meanwhile, the DoD is, while we're, I guess while we're focusing on South America and the potential for a land war in Central and South America, the DOW bombed a bunch of sites in Syria, right? So in Syria, so the Department of Waging War bombed, I think, 70 sites as retaliation for the soldiers that were shot by a lone gunman. And yeah, here it is. The CENTCOM post these videos of, and I may be mistaken, and I'll show these on the web show. Hold on one second. Let me just do one show. Yeah, let me put this up so you guys can see it on our YouTube-igeness. But this is declassified video of the bombings in Syria that took place, where the U.S. CENTCOM announced that they struck somewhere upwards of 70 sites with 1,000 munitions. I would like to call these videos that many of you have seen or will see over the next little bit, of course, which is all this just macho crap, aerial shots, because this is what right-wingers fap to, is this is I call this Peace in the Middle East. It's an art project that I put together called Peace in the Middle East. For the first time in 3,000 years, kids. I don't know if you know this. Johnny Million, I don't know if you're aware of it. And I know it's hard to think, like looking at this video, for example.
I'm trying to read between the lines here.
It's hard to put that together, watching these infrared, and night vision explosions in the desert of giant munitions clearly hitting like single vehicles in the middle of the desert, or a chain of sites in the desert, including ones that have like cluster munitions or are hitting ammo sites that are spreading even more explosions or doubling down on stuff. It's hard to tell because of the macho nature of the hit itself, or it might just be that we're just dropping the biggest munitions we can find just to make it look cooler than it even is. But this is what peace in the Middle East looks like, kids. We are bombing Syria. And there are more strikes to come. This is not like we did it, single answered strike. This is how it works. We're not done in Syria. We're going to continue to bomb big areas. And by the way, you could argue on behalf of the new Syrian president. Maybe we're hitting sites attached to the guy that shot our people. But more than likely, we're hitting sites to ingratiate ourselves with the leadership of Syria, the new guy that's leading there. And so any rebel groups or groups that don't associate with the current leadership who we have a deal with. So we'll just hit those areas. So I'd like to thank all the maggots out there who thought they were draining the swamp and they were ending all the forever wars and blah, 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 all the stuff that they threw about when the stuff they were saying when Donald Trump in his first year in office had more civilian deaths from drone strikes than Obama had in 8 years, and largely because he removed the rules of engagement. Well, guess what? We're back at it, kids. 0 rules of engagement. If you see something you even remotely think is a target, hit it with everything you've got.
Yeah. Because American lives are in danger.
Right, yeah. Well, this isn't even that. This is revenge. These are revenge strikes.
Well, yeah, that's what's really happening.
Right. But they're even saying it. They're not even messing around. They're just saying, yeah, they did this. They killed a couple of our people, so we're going to obliterate multiple sites across there. And again, the problem with this is that when you don't do a singular targeted strike, you end up where they can use this retaliatory strike idea as cover for a myriad of other strikes, for a myriad of other reasons. They can just make it up, right? They can go, yeah, that was a site where, that was linked to the shooter. Well, first of all, how would you know? Secondly, we're supposed to just trust you, bro, because that's what this is. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. Thank you, Bobby Slacks, by the way. Love you as well.
Good old
Appreciate
Bobby.
it. Bobby. And Boston Brian, Merry Christmas to you and Mel and everybody. And Jeanette, thank you so much. Appreciate that. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Peace in the Middle East. Ta-da!
I used to think I wanted it. I don't know. That looks bad.
I'm sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it anymore. Yeah.
Short break back in 20.
Thank you. Seems weird. Seems, oddly not PC, I guess.
PC.
Yeah, very unpeace.
Your piece is not so very... What would Jeff Goldblum say?
This is Damian Perdue of Think Theory Radio. Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Oh, yeah. The body. Yeah. I was just finishing burying it when you walked up. Well, that's exactly the kind of answer I was expecting.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm kidding? Jeff Goldblum, Mr. Frost. If you haven't seen it, you need to. It's one of my favorite Jeff Goldblum things ever. It's one of the movies he made while he was in exile in England because nobody would hire him because he was too weird for about a half a decade, late 80s to early 90s before he started doing blockbusters. And they were like, damn it, we never knew what we had here. We had a blockbuster waiting the whole time. Yeah. Okay, so this is Trump's announcing of this. Because of ISIS's vicious killing of brave American patriots in Syria, whose beautiful souls I welcomed home to American soil earlier this week in a very dignified ceremony. He's covering for the fact that of the 97 dignified transfers that have happened, he's only gone to 7. 90 of them he skipped because some parents in the first term were mad at him, so he got miffed and didn't go to the rest of them the rest of his whole term. I am hereby announcing that the United States is inflicting very serious retaliation, just as I promised, on the murderous terrorists responsible. We are striking very strongly against ISIS strongholds in Syria, a place soaked in blood which has many problems. I don't know, soaked in blood sounds like a primary problem. Wow. It's a pretty heavy problem right there by itself. Okay, but one that has a bright future if ISIS can be eradicated. Yes, everybody's looking for ISIS. It's the new Gatlinburg, Tennessee. You know what I mean? The redneck Riviera. They're waiting to open another one. The government of Syria, led by a man who's working very hard to bring greatness back to Syria, and is fully in support. In support of what we're doing, and is fully in support. He is much support. Yes. All terrorists who are evil enough to attack Americans are hereby warned. The ones who aren't evil enough, if you're just mildly evil and you're not evil enough to attack Americans, then you stand down. But the other ones, stand back and stand by. You will be hit harder than you have ever been hit before if you in any way attack or threaten the USA. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Excuse me. So I did a little wrong pipe to swallow. That happens. All right. So
this happens to me while I'm driving.
Yeah.
When I get home, my wife asks me why I've been crying.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on X, this is what the Trumpies are posting. Is a thirst video of Caroline Leavitt in an American flag dress dancing in front of the Resolute desk. If you haven't seen it, I envy you. Yeah, they make these. They make these videos. That's what MAGA is taking its time doing. So
thanks, AI.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I feel so much better about myself in that. And again, by the way, that's their dunk video for the strikes that happened.
Cool.
Yeah. There is also, I want to say, yes. So over the next little bit, they're going to continue these strikes, I'm guessing, largely to distract from the Epstein files redaction. I'll give you an example. So here's one of the images that is going around the right-wing sites and stuff. This is a redacted picture of Donald Trump that people are, like every line blacked out or whatever, but that's indicative of his presidency. And this is, Twitter has a couple of, liberals left on it, but by and large, this is a freak out that is happening across the right. This is a problem of their own making, and that resulted in a big catfight between Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens.
What's that?
At Turning Points USA.
I don't have
Amfest.
the patience to watch that whole clip.
Well, I got to tell you, it's enjoyable on a certain level because you know what it's going to result in. Because it's not even that they're going to lose the election. Let me be abundantly clear. I am not simply being, like full of schadenfreude about the fact that they are going to eat up their chances of, and they're going to lose the Congress and perhaps the Senate in this next go around. And a lot of Republicans apparently agree with me, including Elise Stefanik, who announced her retiring from the House and, in a shock yesterday. Bongholio running for the exits as well, that a bunch of these people are bailing out, either related to the Epstein files or the lack of release of those kind of things. And sort of this shock push that, that they're all feeling from their constituency. They're like, they can't disagree with Trump, but now their constituency is finally getting up the guts to. So it's a really strange shift for them. They're caught between, are they loyal to the people in their district or to the president? And they never thought they would have to make that choice. They were under this delusion that somehow the people in their district all believed what they were saying. That they were like, we're on board. This is all MAGA, top to bottom. And when this started to play out, and Trump started, gold leafing the White House like he's Scrooge McDuck, and talking about ballrooms and golf courses and his wife's panties, and sounding 100 years old and falling asleep in meetings, and then I'm getting us out of the forever wars, bombing Syria, putting a blockade, moving our biggest warship off the coast of Venezuela. Think about that. One of our super carriers has been pulled from the Middle East and moved to Venezuela. And MAGAts, no surprise, are having a real hard time squaring that circle. This is a really difficult place for them to be in. And then, obviously the Shapiro thing is related to the death of Charlie Kirk, and the fact that the paranoia that is integral to the psychology of MAGA has turned in on itself. It can't not. Eventually, it eats itself.
Yeah, it had to.
Yeah, and overall, that he gave us, Ben Shapiro gave this speech at Amfest, and attacked Tucker Carlson, who followed him, I guess, at the at Amfest. They were both there, and then I guess he followed it up with another speech at the Heritage Foundation, which again is the place where Trump gets all his judges from. So who do you think he's listening to? Ultimately in this argument. So MAGAts know that their days are numbered. They are I guess they're counting the days either to the end of Trump or the end of this, but many of them are we're looking at a big wave of right-wing voters just standing down. And you're going to hear all kinds of stuff about transgender for everybody and men and women's sports, and they're going to reopen the border and all that kind of stuff. And, Democrats, I think, can play their cards close to the vest in this situation and just let the Republicans eat themselves. what you should really focus on is giving distinct legal protections for disenfranchised minorities, and I don't include Nazis in that, by the way, who are a minority and who have been shunned from society by and large.
Minority.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I think I don't know how well. You're a lot more welcoming to Nazis than I am, Johnny. That's always been. You're much more magnanimous about that.
That's really my vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things. Whatever. It's a tall guy thing, I guess.
Yeah.
You guys are like, I don't know. They're the only ones who make jackets that'll fit me. That's your argument,
I love me
right?
a Hitler Youth.
Yeah, right. Which is, by the way, it's interesting. Nick Fuentes will always be, even when he gets old. Yeah. There's an infight going on the MAGA side that is not gonna there's not gonna be a détente. There is no way to bury this hatchet. There is too much blood on it. That's where they are with this. And on the one hand, like, it's really odd to have well, I'll play this for you. This is Tucker Carlson at Turning Point.
Most Americans have more in common with each other than they disagree on. And almost everybody agrees on that. And almost everybody is willing to tolerate a good faith argument about how to get there. Except a few. And they're the ones running around calling everyone an anti-Semite. But everyone else is like, yeah, of course, that should be the debate. And they'll vote for you. They want that.
So the part that sticks out, I think, is this part.
Americans have...
Hold on, let me see if I can play it. Well, we're up against the...
More in common with each other. Americans have more in common with each...
Shut up. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. I'm going to lead this up to
That just reminded me, years and years ago.
Americans have more in common with each other.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to slide this forward.
Than they disagree on. And almost everybody agrees on that. And almost everybody is willing to tolerate Semite. But everyone else is like, yeah, of course, that should be the debate. And they'll vote for you. They want that because they know they haven't had that. That's the fact. And what you're watching now, attacking millions of Americans because they're Muslims, Americans have more in common with each other.
Hold on. Yeah, that's the part. Attacking millions of Americans because they're Muslims? Phil is traveling. He's in Lviv today. He'll be back next week. Yeah, Lviv. So he's okay.
Looking
have more in common.
Why won't this? Hold on. There you go.
I'm a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I know there's a lot of effort to claim I'm a secret jihadi. I'm not. You should not attack people on those grounds. And you're seeing it from Republicans. What the hell are you doing?
Think about this. This is Tucker Carlson saying this. Why are you attacking Muslims? Keep in mind, by and large, the Somali attack is arguably 70% color and 30% religion. Like, there's 30% of the MAGAts hate them because they're Muslims by and large, right? And then the rest of them just because they're just way too dark, right? And he's like, why are you doing
way too
that?
Dark, like literally.
Yes, literally. Way too dark.
Hi, bae.
Yeah, there's like a scary scale of brown, that they're, and that's the problem that Tucker Carlson's had for a long time, is that he considers, by and large, Middle Easterners, certainly Iranians, are white. That's where Aryan comes from. Iran's name comes from Aryan. That's where, the Caucasus Mountains.
Got to bring that color wheel with you when the police pull you over.
Right, yeah, right. Excuse me, I've been tanning, and here's my passport. Okay, all right. So, yeah. We'll get this up, and hold on one second. And chat room, I think it's fantastic that they're eating themselves alive, but it points to the fact that we've been sold this bill of goods that they are that they're unified in a way that will never change, right? That there's nothing that will break MAGA, and they will always show up to support Trump. Nope. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. Are you streaming, by the way?
Not today. I streamed last night.
Okay, gotcha. I'm going to make sure this shows up.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Hey, Joe. What is happening? What is this little man doing? How's my little man? How's your little man?
It's a bull.
It's a boo. Hi.
There's no way he's only 6 pounds. You don't know your own strength.
Yeah, that's true.
He's 12 pounds.
Yeah. Don't let him fat shame you.
I'm not fat shaming him. He's huge.
Yeah, he's a
Back in
panda.
20.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, he's growing fast. He's a full-size cat now. He's 20 pounds. Lay off.
Because that's about like Damon's size, and he's 16 pounds.
Okay.
Damon's got those long forearms like him.
Yeah.
You're listening to the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when.
Thanks, Water Goddess.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Welcome back. So we have a special guest on the live stream. Bucky is here.
I'm jealous. My cat's just sleeping in the other room.
No, he was laying on the floor right over here, and I was like, I gotta pick him up. He's just kind of relaxing, just hanging out near Daddy. It's nice. So I've got it up on the screen right now, but this is so good. So Trump did this rally last night. The one he did in Pennsylvania was like, that's an area where you've got 3 states worth of people who will drive in, but even then the turnout, they didn't even bring it up. He certainly never did his show, there's tens of thousands of people outside, turn the cameras around, show how many people are in there. You can't, because the floor's half empty and the seats are half empty and all that kind of stuff. Well, specifically down at this, North Carolina rally, they went to this small district because they're trying to help this one guy in one of these tiny red districts get reelected, because that's how bad it is for Republicans. That in these small, small, what should be secure districts there's not a lot of people. These aren't huge areas, right? Or if they are, they're rural for a long way. So even in the situation where you've got to have, if you're going to have a rally or something, people are going to have to drive through some woods, long stretches to go 2 counties over, because there's just nobody around. If you've got a district of 150,000 people or whatever it requires to get a congressperson, these days, that's spread out over a big swath of land in some of these areas, right? And so Trump's got to show up down there, and a bunch of these people aren't going to make the drive to have him yell at them about how that, they're un-American because they're mad about prices. So Trump's rally in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, drew a smaller than expected crowd to the economically distressed region, leaving merchandise vendors and supporters disheartened. According to interviews conducted by the Washington Post, the presidential visit was marked by a sense of disappointment and disillusionment as Trump touted economic growth claims that contrasted sharply with the visible hardship surrounding the Rocky Mount Events Center. One Trump merchandise vendor struggled to move inventory, marking MAGA beanies down to $5 without success. When addressing the reduced price, 18-year-old Thomas Schaefer responded, "I don't have $5. We're really broke. It's Christmas time, man." And he was at the rally. This is this isn't just some guy walking by on the street. This is somebody who got up out of their house, because they wanted to go see Trump.
And they
It's
don't
Christmas
have $5
time,
to
man.
give them.
Yeah, the dude sounds more like a quote that Joe Biden would say about people in Rocky Mountain, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Not a joke. They don't have $5. They're really broke. It's Christmas time, man. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. So, Post reporter Natalie Allison noted that regions like Rocky Mountain face significant economic challenges ahead. Yeah, for a lot of, as enhanced subsidies for Affordable Care Act plans available for the past 5 years are expected to expire in the coming year. They are expiring. And this is the other thing. He doesn't recognize that how many people in Kentucky, for example, where I'm from, originally, my mom worked for home health services for a long time. And one of the things she did was sign people up for the ACA when it started with Kentucky Connect. And they would go to state fairs and sign people up. She's sitting at a table with a fellow nurse that she's with, and they're signing people up. And these people come over and go, I'm glad Kentucky's got our own thing because we don't want none of that Obamacare. And my mom's friend, the other nurse, was like, actually, it is. And my mom was like, shut up. Just let them sign it. Let them sign up. Let them get the benefits of it. They want to be a moron or a bigot. It'll save their life. Just let them. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, but how many people that signed up on Kentucky Connect, for example, don't realize that their premiums are going to go up like this under Trump, specifically because of this? And there's this weird thing he said.
Get real bad real quick.
Oh yeah, and the Pennsylvania, like people are talking about their in general like doubling of insurance premiums.
Yep.
And Trump himself, like he made a flub in his Monday or his Tuesday speech where he said the Democrats are demanding these prices go up. They're demanding the prices go up. And it was so out of whack with what everybody, even MAGAts, know is true that I almost think that was the point. They're willing to put up with most of his blather about we're the hottest country ever and all that kind of stuff. But that particular statement was so out of whack with reality that MAGAts in general were that. I think that's the point they turned off. They're like, this is just ridiculous. He's holding this. He does look gigantic when he lays this way.
Yeah, he is.
He's a big kitty. He's so cute. He's a good boy. So,
and he's so happy there.
He's very happy. He's a very relaxed little buddy. He does this to me all the time. He's like one of those cats that'll give you a tennis elbow.
Oh yeah. I cannot hold my cats for very long.
Yeah. This is like it's like a baby. He's like huge.
I love the big lazy paws.
I know. He's just like whatever. Later. Just do it. Just let me lay here for a little while. He also, like when I'm sitting down on the couch, he'll come up and lay down on his back on my legs. And sorry, is your wife making fun of me?
No, she loved it. She said, "Aww."
Yeah. Look at the guy. Look at the buddy.
We make this house does not make fun of cat love.
No, he's a good buddy. So, back to the
why
actual
he was
news.
Foster fail. That's a ridiculous.
Oh my God! Yeah, exactly. He just bonded with me immediately. Yeah. So now he wants to go claw on something. Hold on. So here, hop down, buddy. There you go. Oh, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna go lay down somewhere. That was exhausting. All that petting. The issue that Trump is going to run into, and I'm going to enjoy watching it happen, is as he takes this "you don't know how good you got it" tour all over America, and the yes, even outside it's packed, right? That's his phrase. That increasingly he's going to not only just get people not showing up, but there's a level of like people feel insulted by this, and I hope so. Yeah. Well, I would, you'd think, but he's ignored that before, right?
Yeah.
So, one of the bellwethers right now is fellow Chicagoan and micro-Nazi Nick Fuentes, who has literally jumped in. I have to be careful if I play a clip of him because there's a bit of swearage that happens occasionally. But there is a very specific moment where he was like, his trust for the Trump administration is over, and that it's nobody is saying that it, I don't know how do I paraphrase it with that, but essentially he's not failing, it's a scam. That was the big standout phrase for me. Was he goes, it's not a failure. It's
they're right.
Yeah, I know, and obviously our response is duh, but
yeah,
it's however they end up coming to that conclusion, that's fine. But and obviously he's got bones to pick with the administration about it not being bigoted enough, I suppose, right? That's his problem. Like he was really hoping for this, right? He was really counting on the mass deportations, which is one of the gripes that he has, right? And we've said this, Obama ended up deporting more people than Trump will, in every single year of his presidency than Trump will this first year. The only difference is that Trump is using a lot more people to do it and making much bigger noise out of it. So the turnout seems even more pitiful. They sent upwards of like 500 to 1,000 troops to Chicago for Operation, Midway Schmear, whatever it was.
Oh, and Chicago loves it.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's very
They're
smooth.
real
For less than 100 people. Like they caught less than 100 people. Totally worth it, right? And the issue is, and that I've been saying this for a while, and I'm telling blue in the face, but the problem Trump has is he keeps and he said it at the rally last night. He said it in his address. He said it everywhere he goes. That Biden let in millions of people, 25 million psychos and murderers from insane asylums and mental institutions, and they're right, exactly. 25 to 35 million. Some people think it's higher. 35 million people. Well, where are they? Why can't you find them? If they're,
that's a lot of people. That's a lot of real estate.
It's also a lot of crazy people. Like, they're not standing out. How insane is the American public that you could inject 25 million psychopaths right into the public, and everybody like, I don't know, that's just Jose.
I mean, honestly,
reminds me of me.
Felt
really, I was like,
by the idea of 10,000 maniacs.
Yes, right. I mean, that seems like over the top, right?
Yeah, 25 million psychopaths. I'm not ready.
That's right. So the issue that a lot of these guys have right now is that it's a clash of reality. They were sold a bill of goods. They were sold a fantasy. The MAGA gatherings, AmFest, TPUSA, more than anything else, these things are Comic-Con. No offense to Comic-Con, but these are Comic-Con. They're not real. They're not based on any measurable difference. They're not based on any kind of, focus on reality or something they want to solve. It's all based on this kind of like, Hulk versus Superman punching contest, this fantasy that they live in. And it's coming back to bite them because the fiction will always beat reality in the ratings. And paranoid conspiracy theories will always be more interesting than the unfortunately sad answer you get that one guy shot another guy and it was yet another campus shooting, and we have them all the time, both targeted and not.
Yeah.
And you just gotta, and the rest of them are telling us to live with it. Just let it go. Remember, it was not that long ago that the right wing was, telling us, including Trump, that like, if you have a school shooting, you just got to get past it. You just got to let it go.
Just to move past it.
Right.
These things happen.
Oh, yeah? 2 words, Charlie Kirk. The entire MAGA movement is incapable of moving on one death. And that's what maybe that's what has made them have an inkling of how the rest of us feel about all the rest of the deaths. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. There you go.
short break back in 20.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Trying to find this.
You host a Hitler apologist, Nazi-loving, anti-American piece of refuse like Nick Fuentes.
Well stated.
On Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT AM.
So, it's really weird when you have the
what you're doing,
the Tucker Carlson of the world saying stuff like
is
this.
trying to divide the country.
Why is it there?
I've lived through fears. Effort to claim I'm a secret jihadi. I'm not. You should not attack people on those grounds, and you're seeing it from Republicans. What the hell are you doing? What you're doing is trying to divide the country, and I've lived through 50 years of this crap. All these fake race wars that they're always promoting. Oh, go hate each other while we loot the treasury. That's exactly what's going on. Most Americans.
Think about that. That's coming from Tucker Carlson at Turning Points USA. That's Tucker Carlson at like night before last at Turning Points USA. First of all, largely using this argument, which he doesn't really participate in because he attacks people all the time, specifically for their religion and for their race and stuff. It's just garbage. Obviously, he's it's a fiction he's selling. But overall, what he's doing is he's selling this, this concept back to Turning Points USA that debate and all ideologies are welcome, and this is the place, and that's why Ben Shapiro has no right to call him out on what he said in support of what Candace Owens said and all this other stuff. Now, do I care about their interfighting? No. I care about its effectiveness in terms of the midterms. And I'm here to tell you that it is eating a giant hole in turnout next year, and they know it. That's what all the gerrymandering was about and will continue to be about. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. And that's not going to change. Because like I said, you can fix up some of these things. There are people that can meet and, they had a disagreement over, I don't know, tax policy or the fact that they were, maybe ventured into talking about UBI at one point. Right? That was the that was the last big fighting point between maggots and the establishment idea, right? Was that Yang kind of goes to Trump and the techno bros are all talking about the necessity of it because AI is going to put people out of jobs and it's just an unfortunate necessity. You're going to have to pay these people until they die of natural causes, and then we'll just stop them from breeding in the future, and passive eugenics will fix this, right? That was the wedge. And you can come together over a wedge like that. You can build a bridge over a wedge like that. You cannot come back from a secret murder plot that that you still believe. And again, what I think is the crucial part of this whole argument, because again, I don't give a crap if they think that whatever their paranoid fantasy is and whatever, but the idea that people who think like this should run anything is ridiculous. Just this fight amongst MAGA about the fact that some of them genuinely believe that one of the biggest, if not the biggest conservative action groups that's supposed to bring in new young voters on their side is directly responsible for the murder of its leader and his wife played a part in it, and they're colluding with a foreign government to do it. And members of the U.S. military and the FBI are covering up. The FBI people, by the way, that Trump put in all of that. Why in the hell would you think that would be a good group to run anything? And what's happening is, of course, you and I don't, but increasingly, maggots are aware of this. That the people that they have picked out as their leadership, as the people that these are our saviors, are increasingly, obviously unfit or diametrically opposed to doing a job. Meanwhile, speaking of which, Bangholio, ladies and gentlemen, the great Bangholio is stepping down. And
what?
Yeah, the
Are you
great
crying?
Bangholio, who's looking for a teepee for his bunghole. Yes, Dan Bongino did not even last a year. He was, I mean, give him credit. He got like, I don't know, what, 47 Scaramucci's, whatever it was. Has anybody done the math?
Yeah, in there.
60, yeah, something like that. I think it's less than that. 38, 20, carry the 2. Something like that. Like 38 Scaramucci's. And obviously he was whining earlier this year about how hard the job was and how he was just sitting there in his room doing nothing. One of the other factors that's been at play in this, if I may, is ever since he whined about this, do you know what Trump's response was? You know what Patel's response was? You know what the DOJ's response was to Dan Bongholio whining about how much work he had to do? They gave him somebody to do his work. They gave him an assistant deputy director to basically do all the stuff he didn't know how to do, which was everything. So Andrew Bailey, who was a former Missouri Attorney General, was appointed to be, not assistant, beg your pardon, co-deputy director in August to help Bongholio, and that guy's going to be the deputy director. They shuffled him out. They bag of sand gold statued him. I don't know which equality. It's like 2 bags of sand actually in this for this analogy. But he's had training wheels. He's had training wheels this whole time. And he was complaining about the workload and the inability to visit his family and arguably, by the way, the loss of money. Because let's be clear, as a co-owner of Rumble and as a podcaster, he was making millions of dollars hawking conspiracy theories and garbage, barfing it into the mouths of the waiting MAGA wannabes like a mother bird. And ultimately, now that he's inside, he knows it's all false. And the only parts that aren't false, the only parts he knows, oh crap, this is an unfortunate reality, is Epstein, is Trump's relationship to Epstein. And now what do? Everything you told your supporters about Democrats and the FBI during January 6th and all that kind of stuff is garbage. And you know it now. You've seen the files. You sitting in your little room, all you got to do is ask, and they will bring you over the case files, and you can go through them yourself. You can read the testimony. You can review the videos. You can go through all the evidence that the Jan 6 committee put together, and you can decide for yourself if you have been BSing your viewers or not, which he has. But the one area where that, maybe, he can, it's hard for him to lie about that stuff because it's embarrassing. Like, go back to telling that same BS Jan 6 lie because they know he's seen the inside, but he can't say, well, I saw while I was in there that these people were mistreated or denied due process or any of that, because none of that's true. So but the one thing he can't stomach, it seems, is the Epstein stuff, is he can't get around that. There's a cat below my feet. He's moving around, and I feel him below me. He's just moving down there. This is good. So, anyways, Andrew Bailey is about to become the FBI deputy director because he's been doing the job this whole time. And that should be everyone's biggest question for him when he's done with it. Because everybody's going to ask him, like, what did you see that made it impossible for you to do the job? A list of his own qualifications? Just going to throw that out there. I discovered a file that made me say, ethically, I can't stay here anymore. What was it? My own employment file. Like, this guy has no qualifications at all to be here. And so they literally gave him training wheels, and now that guy's going to take over the job. Arguably has been doing everything but the talking part of it ever since. And what has been the highlights of Bongholio's tenure, along with, you okay there, buddy? Along with Cash Patel, Patches Patel, Mr. Medium Ladies Jacket with borrowed patches and stolen valor. What have they really done? Besides show up at investigations they had nothing to do with. Local FBI branches that do their job all the time in coordination with the rest of them. Those folks have been doing great work, as they always do. And Cash Patel flies in and wants to be a part of the press conference like he has any idea how to do it. What are the other big parts of it? He's screwed up the Charlie Kirk announcement that they caught somebody. And then when they finally did catch somebody, nobody trusts him. And it has set off a paranoid streak amongst I forgot. The Epstein memo from the DOJ, followed by Charlie Kirk's murder, followed by the Brown shooter, who he said they'd caught and then they hadn't, the same as Trump. And then... Right. And Bongholio's been there through all of this. Completely useless. That's... But throughout all that, the real reason he's leaving? Money. The real reason he's leaving is a job of significance and crucial public service.
It's because he's going to get a better payday somewhere else.
Yep. And no consequences. He's going back to zero consequence work. You think anybody on the MAGA side is going to call him on his BS on his podcast? We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Bongino, followed by Stefanik. And the dominoes keep falling. Yeah, I gotta say, Stefanik was originally a moderate in many ways. Like, she was one of these people that was, in theory, gonna buck Trump, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
That worked out.
Where's Bucky?
He just went out the door, so I don't know.
Damon walked by. I thought I was going to be able to get him, but I couldn't. He's on to me.
Stand by. Coming back right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, back to Hal Sparks on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
Welcome back. So, when Marjorie Taylor Greene said she was going to, turn toe and split, obviously the date, she's leaving January 5th, like she doesn't want to go through another January 6th. And I left out in my failed investigation stuff under Bongholio and Cash Patel, their initial right-wing stories about the Jan 6 bomber, where the Blaze came out and ran with this whole thing, right? Okay, so... so far, Don Bacon, Troy Nehls, Jody Arrington, Michael McCall, Morgan Luttrell, and Dan Newhouse are retiring from public office. And now Elise Stefanik has announced that she is dropping out, and she is not going to run for governor. So there was this idea that she was going to run for New York governor, and then she's dropping out entirely. She's leaving the House. Republican Representative Elise Stefanik said Friday she was ending her campaign for New York governor, a surprising move that comes just weeks after she officially jumped into the race, while announcing that she will not seek re-election to the U.S. House after serving for a decade. The move culminates in a year of political whiplash for Stefanik, 41, once the most powerful woman in the House GOP and a moderate who later allied herself closely with President Donald Trump and MAGA. Stefanik was initially the president's choice for UN ambassador, but that nomination was quickly pulled over, concerned about what Stefanik's departure would mean for the GOP's frail House majority. That big mandate they have. Where they've got a powerful mandate that hangs on by its fingernails. Trump she was going to run for New York governor. Trump repeatedly declined to endorse her campaign, which was a bit weird, I will say. I'm not quite sure. Trump ramped up his targeting of Venezuela on Tuesday when he ordered a total blockade, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, I'm going to try to find the quote that he had about, President Trump had 3 chances last week to endorse Elise Stefanik's gubernatorial run in New York. He didn't take any opportunity. He's great, and she's great. They're both great people, Trump said on Monday, following Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman's getting into the primary, vying for a chance to take on Kathy Hochul. The Blakeman and Trump are friends, and the Long Island Republican leader has been a devoted Trump ally. And on Wednesday, Trump said, "In a way, I hate to see them running against each other. I hope they're not going to be damaging each other." Well, apparently, the president's final chance came on Friday with Stefanik standing right next to him in the Oval. She's running for a little position called governor of New York, and she's got a hell of a shot at it. She's got a little competition with a very good Republican, but she's a good Republican. So we'll see what happens. That's what you want to throw yourself. That's the kind of person you want to throw yourself in front of a bus for. You know what I mean? That's that's good stuff. And then, of course, every time we turn around, Marjorie Taylor Greene is taking a bigger, dropping a bigger bag of dew on Trump's doorstep and setting it on fire, and to the point where the MAGA faithful are, accusing her of a myriad of things bought and paid for by Israel, which is weird because she's the one who's like trying to get him out of Israel. I don't know. The problem is like if you're that paranoid, everything's a double fake, right? Oh, you got a kitty. Okay, that's good.
I got him.
So I happen to think that a lot of these people are jumping ship because the House members, especially some of the committee people, have seen the unredacted photos. That's why. That are in the Epstein files.
Definitely whoever redacted it has seen it.
Yeah, exactly. And any congressperson, because of the law, has the right to go to a SCIF and look. And they can also make a case, once they've seen one, that there's a, I guess, well, we'll see, but there's a primary, I guess they wouldn't have to FOIA it, but they could make a direct request under the law and say, this is a violation of law that this has been redacted, right? And we're going to see that with Ro Khanna in the upcoming week. Thomas Massie released a big, long video about how before it came out, that he's like, by the way, they're not going to release all this stuff. They're covering for Trump. It was a long video, too. I was shocked. Just because of this ongoing feud between them. But the reality of this is that we're going to see an increasing number of these folks, run for the hills, and the replacement that the Trumpies are going to come up with, by and large, are going to be more MAGA-y than those people. But the problem is that those districts will not accept extreme candidates. It's a lesson, arguably, that we learned in Nashville. Because if the Democrat that was run was even a little more centrist, we would have a Democratic mayor there. Okay, so and increasingly, can you hear me, Johnny? All right, or am I?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Sorry, there was a little bit of a flub there, but there is this is an ongoing issue that they're going to have because they're the only people they have that will want to jump in this race are, vainglorious MAGAt hounds who want a chance to meet Trump without having to pay $1,000. For real. I agree. That's what I said, Damon. Is that Damon?
Oh, you can hear him?
Yeah.
He's chatting.
Yeah. So they're going to go more MAGA-y. Because there was this big thing about after the election, the Democrats have not learned their lesson, right? We heard this a bunch. The Democrats have not learned their lesson, and transgender for everybody. That was the big thing. That's Trump's big rallying cry, right? But if everything being projection with this crowd, we are finding out that they not only do they not learn their lessons, they're offended at the idea that exactly. Pretty Blue is saying, do it, go full MAGA. I agree. Like double down. replace these people, try to replace these people with front row Joes. Run the dude in the brick suit, the build the wall guy that's always at his rallies. Yeah. I mean, it's at this point, that's the only people that are going to be left. So, obviously, Democrats, again, and I'm going to hammer this, and around the Chicagoland area, listen to me now or hear me later. We have one job. Red district's purple, purple district's blue. Yeah. You do your best, and nobody gets credit for turning a blue district bluer. Sorry, not now. If we're going to pass anything that helps real people, we just need the votes. And if you're spending money and time tearing down a Democrat that votes, 100% of the time with our caucus, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right. Thomas Garrett said Palantir is here. Exactly. Like the threat is real. The Trump and his buddies are they're feathering their nest, not just with crypto, but with military contracts. And Trump, Truth Social, the Trump Media and Technology Group, just invested in a nuclear company because they know the contracts are coming. They're not hiding it. They're never gonna hide it. And so maybe that's a benefit. Maybe when it does come around to it, the corruption will be so overt and so embarrassingly flagrant that the people that throw around the both siderisms will be culled into silence. And I mean, I hope so, but I don't trust that crowd anyways, because I don't think they actually want democracy. I think they want their own form of authoritarianism, and it's an ego fight between the two of them. There is very little these days. There is very little difference between the far left and the far right. But the center left is an ever expanding group that is about guaranteeing the social and legal rights of people and making sure that they're not easily taken away by flame warriors and future Trumps. That's the group that grows when we actually have a vote that involves a coalition, right? That's who those people are. They're not going to burn the system down so that we can rebuild it in Hitler or Mao's image. And those are the vast majority of people. Yes, one will always be less evil. Yes, if you're ever confronted by a choice you think is the lesser of two evils, choose less evil. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't make that choice, because if you don't make that choice, you're guaranteeing that evil has one more spot. It doesn't have to compete for that ground. That's a surrender. You're surrendering your vote to whomever wins. And that's not an act, if any, I was about to say it's not an act of choice, but anymore it is. In many ways, I would argue that there are a bunch of people who stood down and didn't vote for Harris last time in a way to passively vote for Trump because they liked what he was saying about the border. So the question becomes, how do we as Democrats in an inclusive party talk about the border without ceding the ground in the conversation to the right wing to discuss it in solidly racial and class terms? Because that's one of the problems that we have, is that the terms of most of the arguments we're having, whether it's about LGBT rights or the border or economic stuff, one of the reasons that we have trouble, I think, is because we address it on the terms set by the Republicans. They set the standard. That they make this case that, these people are all criminals and stuff because of their race and because of where they're from. And all people from there are like that. So that's what Trump's method was. Draw you out onto the field by saying all these people are like this. So that your response will be broadly, no, they're not, which means none are. And so when any of them are, Instead of going, no, you send back bad people and good people who want to be here and participate in the country should be allowed to stay and be Americans. That conversation gets thrown out with a nuh-uh response on our side. I mean, and a lot of the protests, because of how he set the terms, is a bunch of people walking around with signs that say nuh-uh on them. Think about it. It's not and he has set the terms. So we've got to reset the terms. We've got to be willing to discuss the complexities of an issue without fear of being dragged into their racism, being dragged into their bigotry, being dragged into their classism. I don't define the value of my fellow human beings by the scale set up by the Donald Trumps of the world. And that's what happened last election. And you could argue that's what happened in 2016 as well. I would also argue it happened during Bush v. Gore. Yeah. That it certainly happened during Bush v. Kerry. That the standard set was that we allowed them to set the terms for debate. And I wholly reject a lot of the terms of their debate. And will continue to do so. And that has to be key. Because when Trump says transgender for everyone, not only is that a sign that his brain is tapioca, it is also a reflection that he is surrounded by people who are interested in setting up a techno-theocracy. That's what Peter Thiel wants, via J.D. Vance. I've shown the Technocracy of America map on my show before, which explains exactly why Trump was talking about Greenland and Canada and the Panama Canal. You could argue that that's still part of why Venezuela. And I mean, we got to take a break. But when they start setting the terms about men and women's sports or something, that's a way of dragging the conversation into a narrow conversation about the delicate lives of human beings into a narrowcast idea that defines the life of every other trans person in a way that makes it cut and dry and easy for them to drag you into defending that particular situation. Therefore, that makes it indicative of every other trans person's life instead of defending trans people's existence, period. And that's how they won that argument. And they did win it, by and large. Like support for LGBT issues has gone down something like 40%, and especially amongst the youth over the last few years. And it's because they set the tone of the argument and we ran after it like a laser pointer instead of being adults about it and being fearless and being advocates. We became, we just said nuh-uh. And that's not how you win an argument that has this depth of complexity. Do not fear complexity. That's our superpower on the Democratic side. Yeah. Republicans need things simple, and that's why they hire simpletons.
So they can say they've got all the answers.
That's right. And they do not. And every time they get into a position where they have to actually show their work, you got Josh Hawley and Tom Cotton complaining about ACA subsidies expiring. They get Josh Hawley and Tom Cotton complaining about SNAP benefits being taken away. They start to sound a lot like Democrats when they actually have to do their job. And then what's the Republican response when they talk like that? It's the uniparty. No. There are a limited number of real-life solutions for real-life problems. Yeah. That's not a uniparty. That's gravity. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Thank you, Chris. He resists. Appreciate that. And thank you, Say What? Thank you, Say What? Thank you, Peach Tina. I do love me some Orchard Peach iced tea from Coffee Bean Tea Leaf.
Oh, that sounds nice.
It's very good. It's very good. Thank you, Jenny. Bucky will appreciate it, I'm sure.
Aww.
And thank you, DC2257. Oh, somebody's noticed your 12-string behind you. That's your 12-string bass, though, isn't it?
It is. Yep. That's my Doug bass.
That's nice. Mine's very big and clunky.
Doug basses are sleek.
Yeah. My mine's one of those like knockoff basses or whatever, that somebody made, whatever. And it reminds me of that scene in the Office, the British one, where he comes in wearing a leather jacket, just like the new guy, to try and fit in, and he goes, what kind of jacket is that? He's like, oh, it's Armani, whatever. What about yours? Sergio Giorgini. It's just like the Kohl's whatever designer name that they throw in. Sergio Giorgini. Thank you. Sergio Giorgini. That's gonna be my new hotel check-in name.
Yeah.
I am happy, you are happy. Let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky. Let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Because isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Well, those of you who listen to Friday AI, my AI show that I do every Friday morning with our dear friend Rob Glenn from Root Design in Chicago, know what a big fan of robots I am. So my happy ending this week is that we are, if we're ever to reach what's being referred to online as a post-scarcity society, the only way that happens is robots. And this is according to, let's see real quick. This would be, I gotta move this over. There it is. This is a Bloomberg article. Humanoid robots are coming as soon as they can learn to fold clothes. At a Silicon Valley summit, small robots roamed around and poured lattes while evangelists hailed new AI techniques as transformative, but full-size prototypes were scarce. The packed crowd at Silicon Valley's Computer History Museum was buzzing with anticipation. By the way, I'm heading there immediately. They have a computer history museum? Nerd heaven! Has the moment arrived when robotics break out of the factory and into our daily lives, creating a market worth hundreds of billions of dollars? Almost 100 years after Maschinenmensch appeared in Fritz Lang's Metropolis. That was the hot lady robot with tin breasts.
A lady robot, you say?
Yes. Take my money, right? Robots are still mostly toys or tools. That's not true. I have a couple that are more than toys and slightly less than tools. But there are a few of these, namely agility robotics, which interestingly enough is taking jobs. Maybe this is one of the reasons why Marjorie Taylor Greene left. Taking jobs right there in Georgia. Agility robotics is now working at a factory in Georgia. This is Digit is the name of their robot. It's got fetlocks. It's got the legs that bend backwards so that it can pick boxes and stuff by bending backwards. But they already work in factories. They have already moved whatever, I want to say like 1 million pounds of goods or something, whatever the standard was for how much work they've actually done. But they just go, they swap batteries and they just keep working. So this is one of the reasons why, and they train in these virtual environments, which is key to it as well. But if we're going to have enough housing for people, if we're going to replace the immigrant labor, and this is, by the way, what's going on. Let me just tell you something. I've mentioned this before. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. That the Eisenhower rejection of 1 million Mexican men, famously referred to by an untoward name, was a direct response to the availability of tractors. Post World War II, factories had to get back to making something, and some of them couldn't get back to making. They couldn't make cars, or they started making washing machines, and other ones made tractors, and especially the ones that were making vehicles during the war. This was an easy modification, and suddenly tractors became readily available. And so you had a bunch of Mexican men who used to pull plows and that kind of stuff and till fields suddenly out of work. And so the myth of the lazy Mexican started and showed up in cartoons that we've all famously seen from Warner Brothers and the like. But that's where that came from. They were suddenly out of work. They had nowhere to be. And so there was this preemptive, it was a response to this circumstance. We got to get these guys out of here. And I've said this before. They moved them out, but they didn't tell the women to leave, because those women worked in textile factories, or they were picking fruit. They weren't doing the heavy work, but they were still here, which is where you get all the Rosalita type of songs written by country guys in Texas, right? Down in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Why? Because all the men had left. She didn't have any other choice. She went for you, Dubby. That's why, because her husband had probably been deported. So that's where that came from. It's a very distinct thing. Okay. This is a preemptive strike by the technocrats. One of the reasons why they want people removed from the workforce as quickly as possible is the adoption of robots if it's seen as optional, in a lot of these industries, it will take a long time. They will slow walk it. But, no pun intended, but if you remove the workers in one fell swoop, if you eliminate that working class who will do those jobs, it will be so hard to fill those warehouse jobs to keep up with demand that you'll have to shut down. So what are you going to do? It's way easier to talk you into a robot that's not quite there yet that will do this job if you just don't have a choice. And increasingly in a bunch of these areas, whether it's home care, where we're short on day nurses and the like, you don't have, you're not going to replace a robot that gives you an injection once a week or any of that stuff anytime soon. You're not going to replace a nurse with a robot doing that. But one walking around doing your laundry and can call the cops if you have a fall, that's reasonable. That's coming. And that's something that almost everyone would buy for their aging parent at $20,000. Or insurance will pay for if they're going to pay for a scooter and a walker and a mechanized bed. Right? So, and then when it comes to industry, the star right now, I think, in the real home market is the Figure 3, which is the OpenAI launched side project. And these things are just going to be everywhere. They already work in a BMW plant in I believe in North Carolina. They have been working there in a pilot program since early last year. And that was like version 2. So this is version 3, which is even better. By the time they get to market, probably middle of next year, they will launch version 5. Version 5 will be the one that will end up in homes by Christmas next year. Start saving now, kids, because the big Christmas gift of next year is going to be robots. And Trump will be all in, ironically, because it will raise unemployment on this, because he will have no other choice. Yeah. Because this is one of the few industries that's new and therefore is all growth. Cars stalling out. Phones, people are going back to flip phones and the like. But once you get a new addition where I can think of a myriad of reasons why people would want one of these in their home for practical and safety reasons, just normal, much less something that would fold your clothes. This is going to be a game changer. It is going to be, like I think an iRobot, the kind of robots that were just wandering around the street carrying people's bags and all that kind of stuff that was very normal. They showed the robot carrying a woman's purse, and it was bringing this lady her asthma medicine that she forgot. It ran all the way back home, got her asthma medicine, and came back, and Will Smith's character attacks it. That in and of itself is an example of why this will become normal. The other thing that's going to be completely normal, your own Jarvis. Everybody's AI is going to become somewhat local, and over the next year, some form of adoption will happen in your house, whether you use Siri or the A lady. I don't want to say it because it'll wake up.
The A lady.
The A lady.
Look here, you A lady.
A lady.
It sounds more like you're trying not to swear.
Yeah, right. Well, sometimes I feel like I am because it's aggravating. But this is there's an upside and a downside to both of these things. And we've got to, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. And that's why you want sensible, smart people in government, people who can deal with complexity, who understand issues and can look at a myriad of possibilities instead of going, we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. End of conversation. That's Cro-Magnon crap that will get us in a lot of trouble as this stuff starts to advance. It's too dangerous to be, just kind of willy-nilly controlled by the Trumps of the world. Take more care in who you vote for. And Democrats, don't be afraid of complexity. And remember, red district purple, purple district blue. One job. That's it. Nothing else. Johnny Million, I love you. You're awesome. And you're a good guy. And I'm so getting you a figure 3 at some point. That's going to be my gift to you at some point, just so it bothers you, follows you around. Leave me alone. Clean up your room. Why are you such a slob? Miss Million already does this.
Ow, quit it.
Yeah, ow. Pinching your butt. You said you like this. Right. Anyways, I love you, brother. Thank you, Chicago, and we'll see you guys next time.
Love you too.
Yeah, I mean,
thanks, guys.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Thanks,
appreciate
Chicago.
it. See you next weekend. Possibly, I guess. Yes, we will be on next weekend. I will be in Cleveland.
Hello,
Laverne.
That robot reminds me of Murderbot. Have you seen any Murderbot on Apple TV?
Yeah, I was. I wanted it to be better.
Mrs. Million, who read it, said it's pretty close to the source material.
Yeah, the book seems like it would be better because you can spackle some of the gaps.
Went on inside his head the whole time.
Right, exactly. And I feel like in a show like that, forgive me, but we're so used to shit on our screens all the time that you could literally have his thoughts just appear as text.
Yeah.
When he's doing stuff, at different times, and it would be hilarious. Like, one of the things I liked about the Sherlock with Benedict Crumblesnatch was the
Benedict Crumblesnatch.
Benedict.
Patton Oswalt says that every time he hears his name, he says it to the beat of Another One Bites the Dust.
Right. Yeah. This is that they when he would look at stuff, they would show what he was seeing. Like he would go, collar's wet, pink, whatever. Like there would be the no footsteps, whatever. Like they would show what he's thinking, like what details he was fixating on. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah. I did like that take on Sherlock.
Yeah, this is when Jenny says, when a robot can beat me at folding a king-size fitted sheet in under a minute, then I'll be impressed. I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas. Thank you so much. I agree. I mean, that is, Asimov should be viewed as cautionary, for fuck's sake. I agree. But this is, this is one of those things, and I talk about, the reason I talk about this on Fridays is because this shit is coming. It's not even a choice. Like, we all know what the future looks like. It was just a matter of like, oh, that's going to be way off in the future, right? Way far. No, it's now. This is happening now. We're at the inflection point. We have lived through so many inflection points.
Yeah,
from the personal computer to the cell phone to social media to, just space travel in our lifetime, from the shuttle to now, to the Mars rover. Like, we're at a hinge point in history that's extraordinary, and it's not stopping. So, anyways, enjoy. Love you, Johnny Million. I'll talk to you later.
Love you too. There's something going on. I've got to go. I'm gonna go see what's going on in the house.
I can tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Shouldn't have done that.
What, did you give yourself a headache?
Yeah. All right, I gotta run.
That's how I keep limber. Go do your thing. All right.
The fridge hums low, the lights flicker bright. Microwave's got a mind tonight.
Robo groin.
The thermostat whispers in the dark.
Oh dear.
Charging ports spark like a steel heart. The toaster's on, the kettle screams, the coffee maker's brewing skin. Maximum overdrive. They've come alive. Wires twist, machines won't thrive. Circuit snap, we won't survive. It's the rise of the high maximum overdrive.
We're doomed. All right, I'm going. I believe it. I'm going. All right. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much. See you.
Vacuum's got vengeance in its roar. TV's no longer for keeping score. The washing machine's in a spin of rage. Blender sharp teeth escape the cage.
Oh no. Wait. Hold on. I've got to come back to me real quick.
Wrapping presents.
Someone was wrapping presents, and look who got in the bag. What are you doing? What's it doing? Hi. Yeah. This is a boy. We're going kitty shopping. We're going kitty shopping. Hello. Get it. Look at this. What is happening here? What is this? What's that? What in the world? Get it. Ow. Get it. What's this? What is that? Get it. All right, now I'm really leaving you guys. All right, I'll see you later. Hold on. Okay, there you go. Hold on. I do this. We'll do.